Well, you have three options as a football team. You can have no talent and no chance. You can have a lot of talent and it's undisciplined, or you can have a ton of talent and you can be very disciplined. And we have all three here on the Spielman and Hooley podcast. We have the Bengals, we have the Browns, and we have the Buckeyes. And we saw what can happen when you have those three scenarios over the weekend, Mr. Spielman.
And well-coached, prepared teams also is part of that equation.
The latter applies to that latter scenario where Buckeyes are very well coached.
Let me say this about Ohio State. So Dennis Dodd, you know our friend Dennis Dodd from CBS Sports, right? Yeah. Dennis called me on Thursday, I believe, right before I left. And Dennis said, tell me about this Ohio State team. And I said, Dennis, they have 40 to 50 on the roster now, NFL campers. And he didn't believe me. I'm not saying draft choices. No. I'm saying guys that are campers, right? And we don't even know the names of future NFL campers. So I got a text on Saturday night. Dennis Dodd ran into Oakland Raider general manager Mike Mayock.
Okay.
And he put my theory to the test. And he asked Mike. And Mike's not only the general manager of the Oakland Raiders, but Mike, of course, was considered a draft analyst and expert for the NFL Network.
Absolutely. He's been on their coverage forever.
And very good at what he does. I think he is. And so Mike absolutely confirmed what Ohio State has. At least 40 NFL campers. Again, not draft choices, but campers. And what I saw Saturday was this. I saw a team that never panicked. I saw a team that when it was time to take over physically, they took over physically. Mm-hmm. Some of the errors I saw were drop passes. I saw Justin Fields. I wanted to see if the moment was going to be too big for him. It was not. Even Ryan Day, I wanted to see if the moment was going to be too big for him. It was not. And in fact, they exceeded my expectations. And the offensive line was tremendous. The way they get to the second level and knock linebackers off and come off of double teams, and the way they attack you is just, it's fun to watch, and they are going to be the most difficult out in college football. I do think they're the best team in college football. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but when we're looking at who's the best team in college football, it's certainly Ohio State.
Yeah, right now they play with a focus and a hunger that I don't see out of any other team in the country. You know, Clemson, I still think Clemson, to me, you think Alabama is the toughest out for them. Clemson's not playing with focus and hunger right now, and that's just typical human nature. You've done it before, and it's hard to muster the effort, the attention to detail to do it again. But Ohio State, frustrated in getting into the playoffs the last couple of years because they've not had that focus and attention to detail, manifesting itself in losses to Purdue and Iowa. And I think with fresh leadership, change can be good at times. The players have warmed to that. Ryan has certainly put his spin on this team. And man, 38-7 over Wisconsin, over the nation's quote-unquote #1 defense. J.K. Dobbins, best back in the game, 163 yards rushing. Jonathan Taylor, we set the over-under at 72 yards, and he was well under it at 52.
Amazing team defense. That's the difference again. I wanted to get into this a little bit. The difference between last year and this year's team defense. And small example is that there's certain, like linebackers will be in a certain hole quickly, and it's bouncing the ball to the on-block player. And the difference between this year and last year, the on-block player is playing zone so he can react to run better, and they're not missing tackles in space like they missed tackles in space last year. They rallied to the football. Now, the guy that was obviously outstanding, just an amazing performance, was Chase Young.
Chase Young. 4 sacks, school record tying, 4 sacks, 2 caused fumbles.
I think Chase Young, I don't know if he should win the Heisman, but I think he should be considered for the Heisman, the way he's playing, the year that he's having. Does he have 14 or 13 and a half sacks?
13 and a half right now.
13 and a half sacks on a year. I don't know how many tackles for loss, but just it's fun to watch a guy that it could be the most talented guy on the field, but play with such passion and great effort. And definitely, from everything that I understand about Chase Young, and I've talked to a lot of people, is just a great kid and a team guy and all that good stuff. Now, people asked me this week because I had Joey Bosa.
You did. No, you had Joey Bosa, Chargers, Bears.
And I watched Nick Bosa on the way home.
Panthers, yeah.
Who had a rough day. He had an off day. He only had 3 sacks in the first half, then he had an interception in the second half.
Yeah, come on. I mean, just an interception in the second half. Come on, Nick.
Joey Bosa dominated that football game.
2 sacks
for the
Joey.
San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
And, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss.
Mm-hmm.
and he took the offensive lineman. Do you remember when he tackled the guy? Was it the Big Ten championship game where he pushed the guy into the
No, that was Penn State where
Penn
he pushed
State,
the
yeah.
offensive tackle into
Well,
Christian Hackenberg.
I got news for all you Bosa fans out there, and I'm the biggest one of both of them. And I'll tell you a line that I said on the broadcast yesterday. But Bosa took Charles Leno, the offensive tackle for the Chicago Bears, pushed him into Mitchell Trubisky, knocked Trubisky off balance. Trubisky's trying to regain his balance and fumbles the football. The Chargers get the turnover. They don't take advantage of it, but they got the turnover. They won the game anyway. Joey Bosa was the most dominant football player on that field by far yesterday. Nick Bosa was also the most dominant football player. Not only is that my opinion, Richard Sherman was asked after the game, should Nick Bosa be Rookie of the Year? And Richard said, no, he's more than just Rookie of the Year. That good. Now, they asked me this, which Bosa do you like better? I said, whichever one I see play last. That's the one I like better because they're the exact same guy. As good as Chase Young is, and I'm not taking anything away from the talent of Chase Young. I'm not taking anything away from the great year that he's having. And only time will answer this question. But I'm going to tell you, I don't know if he is going to be the NFL players that Nick and Joey are right now. Because I've never seen two guys dominate a game like those two dominated yesterday. I mean, an NFL game.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And Chase, maybe he will. But right now, I just think he's still, and this isn't taking away the greatness of Chase Young. I want you to understand that. But it's more a statement on how good both Bosa boys are, in my opinion.
Every Heisman Trophy candidate needs a signature highlight to win the award.
What do you agree with me on that, or you're just like nodding your head? And
I want to get into that, but first I want to get into the signature play of Chase Young on Saturday. Here's Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt on the call.
Yeah.
Havoc, a career high, 4 sacks for the best player in America. Period. Unbelievable. They continue to single him up, and he just races by the right tackle, knocks the ball out of Cohn's hand, and then it's Warner racing down the side. Cohn's got no shot. Absolutely no shot. It looked like he was even just trying to throw that at his back to try to burn it because Young's right in his face. Chase Young is the most dominant player in the country. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
That is your flashes of fun, picture-perfect play of the day. Chase Young, one of his 4 sacks on Saturday. Flashes of fun, taking care of your photography needs. Guys, here's an idea for you. Every guy I know, and today's my wife's birthday, so believe me, I know exactly what you're thinking. What do I get my wife today?
Happy 35th, Sherry.
What do I get my girlfriend today? How about a photo? How about a photo session? You, your family, you and your kids. How about if she has a pet she loves, a cat, a dog, whatever, a horse? Flashes of Fun even took pictures lately, senior pictures with a girl.
You have all those, by the way.
A girl and her chicken. Yeah, we have that too. But that wasn't our daughter. So Flashes of Fun can take care of that. On the web, flashesofun.com, and it'll give you $50 off. And listen, I know all you guys, when you hear what senior pictures cost, you go, what? This is ridiculous. And I agree. And that's why you should go with Flashes of Fun. They'll save you hundreds, if not thousands, on senior pictures. All right. I had this text message exchange with an NFL scout last night about Chase Young and the Bosa Brothers.
Okay. You did?
I
Wow.
did. Now, you probably know who the scout was,
I do.
so don't say his name.
I'm not going to
protect
say
his identity.
name.
He said he likes Young better.
He's drunk.
But I asked him if he could translate into immediate impact like that, and wasn't sure about that. But, the Bosa guys have the benefit of their father was a first-round NFL draft pick.
John
They were
Bosa.
raised to be defensive linemen. So they had all that technique, all that coaching, and their uncle was Eric Coomer, your former teammate, who's also a first-round
Great
pick
pass
in the
rusher
NFL.
himself.
So, as Richard Sherman referred to, their bloodlines are something else. But I said to the scout, our mutual friend, Well, we'll have to get Rick Spielman's opinion on that. Would Rick give you an honest opinion that you could share sometime down the road
Not
on
now.
pass rushers?
Maybe-
No,
maybe-
because obviously the draft
Yeah,
wants to keep his
can't-
information
right.
proprietary.
I mean, it's obvious, right? Every guy's going to love Chase Young. And
Yeah.
here's my point that I want to make. I'm not saying that Chase Young can't be what Joey and Nick are. The thing that Joey and Nick are, to me, is that they play with a style that and this is not just my opinion. This is other NFL coaches' opinions that have them as opponents,
Mm-hmm.
and other players' opinions that I've talked to that have these guys as opponents. They play with such a forward lean. I've talked about this before, back when we did regular
Flat
radio.
back, yeah.
Yeah, the way they turn a corner, there's nobody that turns a corner like them. They're two different types of players.
Chase Young and the Bosa Brothers.
Yeah, they're two different types of players. Now, they play the same position, and the results can be the same. And the style, I guess it goes back to style and what you prefer. The style that I like.
What kind of player? You say they're two different types. What types?
Well, Chase is about speed, right? He's speed and quickness, and he has a great arm over move. He gets off the football. He's got good bend. He's got everything you want. And certainly all the accolades that he's getting, I'm leading the charge on that. But there's no defensive lineman that I've watched, including Khalil Mack, from the defensive end position, that has better use of their hands and feet in combination than the Bosa boys. They're virtually unblockable one-on-one by offensive tackles.
You've talked about their hands, too. They're so skilled with their hands.
What they do is they counter quicker than anybody. So what I mean by counter, just think of it like as a counter punch. If you throw a jab and you follow it up with an overhand right, or you follow it up with a body shot or a right hook or whatever the case may be, these guys will come in. First of all, their hands are so fast, they're on the offensive lineman before the offensive lineman hands on theirs. They're so good at knocking down. Now picture this, an offensive tackle going out the block. The outside arm of the offensive tackle, both of them are so good at getting that arm knocked down or off of them. And what that creates is such a short corner because there's no length that's being able to be created. So it's a shorter corner. And both of them turn the corner faster than anybody that I've ever seen play in the NFL. Faster than it. And I'm not over-exaggerating this, because I'm telling you, when you talk to coaches, they say they haven't seen anything like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't... But I don't want this to think that I don't think Chase Young could be a great NFL player or a Heisman Trophy player. I agree with Gus. I think he is absolutely the best player in college football, period, as Gus would say. But I'm just saying that the Bosa boys are at another level that not only Chase Young's not, but nobody in the NFL on the defensive line is at these two guys' level right now.
Well, at
that position. Now,
yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from Aaron Donald.
Right.
But that's a different position.
We'll get into more of that on Wednesday, and whether we think he can win the Heisman, and how you differentiate between Dobbins, Fields, Chase Young, Tua, all those candidates. But let's talk about Ohio State at large. 38-7, they continue to win in dominant fashion. Nobody's come with closer than 24 points of them. Ryan Day talking after the game, and then Clay Hall will follow up here about how he gets his team to handle prosperity when they continue destroying team after team after team every week.
Well, I think you challenge them by saying, how tough are you? Because I think these guys are competitive.
It's good.
They like challenges. And if you are as tough as you think you are, you say you are, or we're as good as we think we are, then we don't get distracted by anybody, and we just get locked in one game at a time. One game at a time, 1 week at a time. And if we let all the other noise get into our head, then we put that at risk. All those things. You start looking, ahead into, rankings and, where are we going to be and all that. If you start looking at all that, you're going to get yourself in trouble. And we have not done that this year, and we cannot do that moving forward.
They remain number 3. LSU hops over Alabama to number 1. LSU and Alabama will play in 2 weeks.
Good team too, by the way.
Clemson is off. Bama is off. Ohio State is off, and the college football playoff. The official college football playoff rankings come out next week, first time. Where would you expect Ohio State to be in those?
I would say 1 or 2. to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they might debut 3, but they've been more impressive than Alabama just because of their margin of victory and the fact their quarterback's not hurt. Alabama's is, and LSU's got victories over Texas and Auburn.
That's why I say I think LSU has a chance to be.
LSU will probably be number 1
Number
because they
one.
want to reward the team that has the perceived tougher schedule.
Yeah,
So I think LSU will be number 1.
And they have a quarterback, and again, all things run through Ohio. What a shocker there!
Sure seems like it.
And with Joe Burrow, who's probably the leading contender for the Heisman Trophy. If we're talking about here, we made this statement last week, and I hated making it, but it's just. When I make these statements, a lot of it is thought about, but a lot of it is instinctive and it just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what I see or what I feel. And I do believe that one thing I have is a feel for a football team. You'll be surprised about my feel of the Browns, but I have a feel for a football team. And I said last week, do you remember this when I said, I don't think this team is in danger of having an Iowa or Purdue disaster.
Yes.
Because the focus of this team is, there's just something different about them. And it's something that is very uncommon. You don't see a whole team locked in like this team. And they're having fun, but there's such a seriousness about this team. There's such a mission or passion that this team is on. And yes, you credit Brian Day. And you credit Jeff Hafley and Greg Madison and Al Washington, who's basically the whole new defensive staff and the new scheme. They deserve that credit. Justin Fields is much better than I thought he would be. I didn't think he was going to be bad, but I didn't think he was this.
No, he was very efficient on Saturday. No turnovers in the rain. Again, no turnovers. And with this defense
is sick.
If you don't turn it over on your half of the 50, you're going to be really hard to beat. If you're not giving the other team short field. I thought Saturday, Wisconsin in the second half when it was tight at halftime, I thought, well, Wisconsin needs 2 short field turnovers to win this game.
Something, yeah. They can't throw the ball downfield consistently.
108 yards passing the ball, and Jonathan Taylor. Do they want another shot? I sort of facetiously said after the end of the game, I said, is it an option for the Big Ten West champion at the end of the regular season to say, no, we're good. We don't need to go to Indy. We don't need to play Ohio State. We got the West title. Let us hang that banner and just concentrate on our bowl game.
Well, you got Row Your Boat that's competing in the West. It's undefeated.
So you
don't want to play the Gophers.
So you talk about the lack of...
You're ignoring that.
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting to. He's campaigning for game day, and I mean, he should get game day. He should get game day.
It's his job.
If it's Minnesota and Penn State and they're both undefeated, why not? But here's why there's no potential for Iowa or Purdue this year on the schedule, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, once you have an Iowa and then a Purdue, you're really determined not to have another one. The other part of it is...
And most of those kids experienced that, correct?
The schedule did not fall this year where they had a game at an opponent on the road that was good enough to pull that off if Ohio State's focus waned. The team that would have fit the profile of an Iowa or a Purdue is Minnesota.
Yes.
A team better than you thought.
Yes, that's great.
If you catch them right after you play somebody that took a little out of you, like let's say Minnesota, instead of being undefeated, Minnesota was 6-2, and you were going up there after you played Wisconsin or after you played Michigan State, and you were like, whoo, we got through that one. Okay, good. And you hadn't had those faux pas the previous 2 years, maybe, but they got Indiana on the road and Nebraska on the road, and they got a Rutgers coming up on the road. And then, of course, you're never going to be not ready for Michigan.
Right.
And that's at the end of the year. So there was no opponent that fit the profile. You were really ticked off about it happening to you twice. And I think the fresh leadership of Ryan Day, I think just a different way of doing everything, a different way of approaching everything helps Ohio State too. They're hungry. They're very hungry. They're very driven. They're very talented. They're very deep. They're very fast. They're very everything I can think of.
I also think of the word that, as you were going through that, I'm trying to think of words to describe this team in mature. I get that it's a mature team, right?
Mature in their mindset
and how they play
approach.
too.
Yes,
they play fast and they play smart.
And let me just say, too, Ryan Day is mature. Like he talked about early in the season, what's your favorite play Justin Fields made? My favorite play is the throwaway because he didn't put us in jeopardy. And everybody's like, the favorite play. Ryan Day Saturday said, the first series, we got 3rd and long. I ran the ball and I punted. That's hard for me as a coach because I want to attack. But, that's a mature decision by a guy who's caught up in the emotion of a day where he really wants to land that first knockout blow. But you know what? We're 3rd and 8. I'm going to hand it off. We're going to punt. I'm going to believe in my defense. So as much as he wanted to land a blow and get a big play touchdown, he's like, this is not the time. That's a maturity in his approach to coaching a team in a big game.
And the other, it's easier to make that decision when you got a defense as dominant as Ohio State's too, and put them in position.
But it's not easy to do.
Put you in position.
I'll harken back to something Urban did that will always be a head scratcher for me. Remember the deep shot he took against Alabama in the college football playoff semifinal after Zeke had run it in and Ohio State had the game and got the ball back, and you're like, what is he doing? He threw a deep shot and it was almost picked to give Bama the time to go down and score another touchdown. It's not easy sometimes as a coach to fight your tendencies to want to do something. And Ryan Day fought that tendency Saturday. I like how he coaches. I like how his team plays. And they're not going to be challenged. I'll say it for the umpteenth time. They are not going to be challenged until January.
You don't think Penn State will give them anything?
No, I don't. I watched Penn State Saturday take care of Michigan State. Michigan State.
What's going on up there?
Well, they lost 3 in a row by 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns. They look to me like Indiana basketball used to look under Bob Knight at the end of his career, where they're just exhausted with that staff. They just need a fresh wind to blow. Oh my goodness.
It's really bad.
But D'Antonio just looks, and he always has looked this way, miserable on the sideline. So maybe I'm reading more into it than there is. But boy, do they need a fresh start.
Yeah, I'll tell you the team, I'm going to credit the Spielman and Hooley podcast, We Tackle Life, that's starting to play and looked more like Michigan, which I thought I would see earlier in the year as Michigan.
303 rushing. 303 rushing.
But the offensive line was dominant for the Wolverines against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame could do nothing to stop them, even though that they knew what they were going to do, and there was nothing they could do to stop them. So that's exciting, at least. I have an Ohio State-Michigan game to look forward to.
I need to pump the brakes on that until I see
Of course you do.
Until I see them do it more than once, because that could be, Herbie was like, what an embarrassing effort by Notre Dame. They didn't bring any emotion, and they didn't. So I want to see if Michigan can follow that up. And, all right, if they win dominantly at Maryland, if they win dominantly, at home against Michigan State, a team that we just said is clearly in disarray, if they win dominantly at Indiana, then we'll talk about how that last game of the regular season could get dicey.
If I'm a Michigan fan, I'm concerned about that Indiana game, by the way.
I'd be concerned about it, too.
That's just a game that looks bad for them.
Right before Ohio State, focus waning. Maybe they're starting to believe, hey, we played 2 or 3 in a row pretty good. Yeah.
Indiana has a false belief that they're a good football team. So
yes, they're bowl eligible, my friend. 6-2.
Hoosiers.
If you would like to be eligible to have the best cookout ever, then you need to get to Stover Farms Custom Meats. Stover Farms Custom Meats retail location in the Columbus area is at 4000 Presidential Parkway. Say Stover. Don't I know the name? Yes, you do. That's Mr. Football. Cade Stover of Lexington High School. His family runs a really big cattle farm, Angus beef farm, up in the Mansfield area. And Trevor, his father, who played for Bowling Green on the team that Gary Blackney brought down here early in Coop's tenure. Trevor processes a side of Angus beef, grass-fed, no hormone, non-GMO every week, brings it down here, sells it to you direct, so you know what's in your beef, what's in your pork and your poultry. All great stuff. Their sausage patties are phenomenal. So if you're planning a tailgate party, planning a cookout, planning a big dinner for a client or whatever, make sure you get it from Stover Farms Custom Meats, and make sure you mention Spielman and Hooley podcast. You get 15% off.
And obviously, if you have a young football player in your house, you need to feed him Stover Meats because it'll guarantee. Does he guarantee you Division I scholarships if you give your kids Stover Meats?
I don't know. As much as Harbaugh likes steak and milk, Harbaugh's offensive line,
but still in your spine,
would need Stover Farms Custom Meats. So I don't know. Trev might not sell.
Hey, I'm just saying that was the Michigan team I was looking for all year. So
Stover Farms Custom Meats is on 4000 Presidential Parkway. It's right off Sawmill, so you can't miss it up north. All right, shall we get to the Browns? You said you had a take on the Browns. 27-14 against the New England Patriots in the rain. Bill Belichick, 300th career win, and a little bit more expansive in his post-game comments about his 300th win than I would have expected him to be.
It's a great privilege to coach this team and to coach the guys that I've coached throughout my career. Fortunately, I didn't play in any of those games. That's a good thing for us. But I've had a lot of good players, a lot of great players. And, they're the ones that win the games. And I've had a lot of great assistant coaches on my staff through wins at Cleveland and certainly here. So, I was a part of those. But honestly, players win games in this league. I've been fortunate. I've coached a lot of great ones.
What a blowhard braggart. I'm just kidding.
Was he cracking a joke there when he said, "I didn't play in any of those games"?
No.
I was waiting for everybody to laugh.
No,
Nobody's going to laugh. Bill Belichick
when
joke.
Clearly, right, in the NFL, he's unmatched,
Yep.
in my opinion, and what he's been able to do and continually do on a consistent basis is the gold standard. Actually, I thought he was very sincere there.
I agree with
think
you.
he's
I think he was
really
sincere
humbled,
as well.
what he's been able to do, and he understands that it's a player's game. And his job is to put the players in position to win those games. He's been fortunate because he's had the most productive quarterback in the history of the NFL be his quarterback for such a long period of time. And it's a once-in-a-generation guy that we see.
Okay, so you said it's a coach's job to put his players in the best position to win the game, and
Right.
there's a lot of chatter about Freddie Kitchens now because the Browns had 13 penalties yesterday, Mr. Spielman, going a half a penalty over their per-game average, which is the worst in the NFL, 85 yards, including six false start penalties. So there's a lot of talk about undisciplined, and it's Kitchens' fault, and la, 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 la. So here is Baker Mayfield on why the penalties. Tough first quarter, 3 turnovers on 3 consecutive plays. Nick Chubb with a fumble, scoop and score for Dante Hightower. Nick Chubb with a long run, spiked out of his hands at the end. Baker Mayfield with the rare intercepted
Shovel pass, yes.
Shovel pass, intercepted by the defensive lineman who beat Joel Bitonio like a rented mule.
I still think they got a chance to get on a little bit of a run here.
Well, they should.
I do think, the schedule lightens up for them.
Yeah, but the whole schedule lightens up thing is to me the essence of why they're 2-5. Because guess who else is 2-5? Denver, and they're going to Denver. So why would they just automatically assume, we're going to Denver, so that's a layup. And then we have the Bills at home, who have a better record than they do. And then we have the Steelers, and the Steelers have a better record than you do. So it's like, why would you assume the schedule lightens up? You're still believing in your hype.
I guess the other stuff is that the Steelers, the Bills, and the Broncos say that, we got the Browns coming.
The Browns, that's what their
schedule lightens up. It's our chance to get on a roll here. And Steelers got a little chance right now. They got the Dolphins, right? Yeah. So tonight, I just think they are capable, right? There's just some growing pains. And the one thing I don't understand is taking the penalty and going.
Yes, let me. I know where you're going. It's 4th and 11,
right?
And Freddie Kitchens said he wanted to go for it.
Okay. But
they had like half their guys running on and half their guys running off, and they were disorganized. So he ran the punt team onto the field, took an intentional illegal procedure penalty to make it 4th and 16. Then sent his offense back on the field to go for it because he said, I wasn't in give-up mode. I didn't want to give up. So he ran the punt team.
What yard line were they on?
Oh, they were on like their own 25 or 30. It was in the 4th quarter. It was 6 minutes to go, I think.
Well, the first mistake is, in your mind, if you know you're going to go for it on 4th down, you have a play call sheet that you look at and say, okay, on 4th down.
Don't you know on 1st and 2nd down, we're in 4-down territory here. We got enough time to score twice to tie the game or 3 times.
When the start of the series, we're going for it. So why are you running a punt team out there then to not take the timeout, which was ridiculous, because you're putting yourself in 4th and 16.
Wanted to save a timeout. Gonna need that
I mean,
timeout
I know
later.
there's analytics out there because I get these sheets every week,
Yeah.
and the percentages of making it on 4th and 16 from 4th and 10 are so much more difficult.
They were running out of timeouts because they challenged. Let me think. In the second half, they challenged an offensive pass
do
interference
it.
call on Rashard Higgins. They wanted to get that bad boy overturned and set the NFL precedent of being the first team, and I don't know how
It ain't
long
happening, folks.
to get an OPI overturned.
Unless it's as egregious as it was in the Saints-Rams playoff game, it's not overturned.
And then
They're
in the
not
first half,
overturning it.
They had challenged a spot on a third down pass to Mohamed Sanu where I could see where if it was in between the yard lines
Yeah.
at 5-yard increments where it's like, I don't know if he was over that mark or not.
Yeah.
No, this was right on like a 5-yard mark, like a big double stripe one too. Like it was the 35 or the 20. Sanu caught the ball, turned, clearly had to
Who's
first
the
down.
challenge coach up
I
there?
have no idea. I assume it's Freddie.
He's got to
So
have
he
somebody
tosses
in the
the
booth.
red flag on that one. And both of them, Romo goes, I don't think I'd be challenging this
Yeah.
one. And they did, and they shockingly lost both.
I mean,
Those are the things that get the criticism of Freddie amped up.
What about? I mean, are you getting the feeling that? Because I'm not invested in the Browns.
No, you're not. You're not.
Are you getting the feeling that it's like, it's just never going to happen?
Well, listen,
It's just
yeah, kind of.
never
Yeah.
going to happen
I'm
in my lifetime.
torn because, first of all, the ownership thing, and I don't know what goes into good ownership. Get out of the way. Well, they got out of the way on the hiring of Freddie Kitchens. They turned it over to the football guy, John Dorsey. I'd much rather have Rick there than John Dorsey. But John Dorsey's made some good decisions. But John Dorsey made some bad decisions. Austin Corbett, and it looks like Freddie Kitchens is a bad decision. You're 7